This is going to be a redo about a statement on Dan Sobel. But this time it's going to be a quick one. This is going to be a remake. This is going to be a redo about a statement on Dan Sobel. But this is going to be a quick video. So the truth about Dan Sobel is, here are the bad things he did. First of all, back in 2021, he just said the N-word. And second of all, back in September of 2022, he was screaming at Devin Osborne. Like, seriously, Dan Sobel? Why did he scream in that video back in 2022? And third, back in July 2024, Dan Sobel was changing his pajamas in front of the kids. Like, come on, Dan. And four, back somewhere in 2025, Dan Sobel was being naked on Google Meets. Like, come on, Dan Sobel, that's kind of gross. For me, it's kind of gross, but it's mostly a lot more gross for other people, some other users, so yeah. And he just said the N-word. He just said he does do grounding threats and stuff like that. So yeah, he just said the N-word at some YouTubers. He also did some bad things. He also did some bad stuff he did in the past. Like, he was making grounding threats or giving a middle finger and showing up their private parts, which that's not appropriate. Yeah, some of the stuff I'm going to say is viewer discretion and advice. I did not say that, what I just said. He just gave people a middle finger, and he just said that take his middle finger showing up their private parts. Like, that was not good. And I don't do swear words. Some of the stuff are viewer discretion and advice. So yeah. Just because I just said something inappropriately. So yeah. Well, it's more like contains dialogue language. So yeah. Suggested dialogues in that YouTube channel. So yeah. Which I usually don't do I don't really usually do inappropriate stuff on my YouTube channel, but just gonna have to let it be. So yeah. Like, he has no right to do that. And Dan Sobel was changing his pajamas in front of the kids on TikTok. Like, come on, Dan Sobel. No wonder. That's why Dan Sobel called him a pedophile. That's why Dan Sobel was such a pedophile, and he is a man-child. So yeah. And all kinds of bad things he did. So screw Dan Sobel's YouTube channel, except he made a letter for me back in 2021 through 2022. The only thing I really prefer to Dan Sobel, he made a letter segment to me. So Dan Sobel, if you're watching this, we're not friends anymore. And thank goodness I already blocked you and unsubscribed to your channel. So yeah. Nate the Game Media 2006, Jordan's Media Core 2000 are way better than Dan Sobel nowadays. So screw Dan Sobel, and so is Eric Payton. So yeah. But I don't know if I'm gonna cut ties. But I'm not gonna cut ties. Amanda Carteret. I don't know if I'm gonna cut ties. I might cut ties Ben Lucero, but I don't know if I'll cut ties Ben Lucero. I'll think about cutting ties him. If you want to tell me if I'm gonna cut ties Ben Lucero, you're free to tell me if I'm gonna cut ties Ben Lucero, but don't tell me if I'm gonna cut ties Amanda Carteret, because Amanda Carteret is not a bad person. She is a good person, which I know Amanda Carteret did something wrong sometimes, like he was recording a video in the art program. So yeah. Which I don't mind Amanda Carteret, just not Dan Sobel. So yeah. And if you guys hate Dan Sobel, I'll have to agree with you guys. But if you hate Amanda Carteret, I can handle your opinion. Because I know there are some YouTubers who are neutral to to Amanda Carteret. There are some YouTubers, but I know. So yeah. So yeah, I do hate Dan Sobel because the only reasons why I hate Dan Sobel is because Ryan Sylvia and some other YouTubers. Number one, there's two things I hate Dan Sobel. Number one, there are YouTubers who lost my respect on Dan Sobel, and second, he did some horrible things on his channel. He did some grounding threats and stuff like that. So yeah. Dan Sobel is the worst YouTuber ever. And I thought he was a good person, but no, he's not. And I thought he was a good YouTuber. I'm afraid he isn't innocent. I thought he was innocent. But he does do some good stuff as well. He doesn't always do some bad things. Well, I don't care if he does some good stuff, except he made a letter for me, which I appreciated. So yeah. So screw Dan Sobel, except he made a letter for me. And I'm not going to delete my Blue's Clues letter saying that has Dan Sobel, but I don't know if I'll throw the picture away. I did draw a picture of Dan Sobel back in January 2024, which is last year, which I did make a letter for Dan Sobel of his drawing. So yeah. I don't have to worry about Dan Sobel because he does not have his videos on his YouTube channel. Dan Sobel's YouTube channel was still there. It's just that he does not have his videos. That's all. But he does have his community tab though. So yeah, right now I don't mind if he still has his videos. But if his videos were coming back, I don't really care anymore. That's fine. I don't really care. So yeah. So Nate the Gay Media 2006 and Jordan's Media Core 2000, or maybe America Carter, are better than Dan Sobel. So screw Dan Sobel and some other YouTubers. Oh no. I don't know about the other YouTubers. The only thing I only hate is Dan Sobel and Eric Payton. So screw Dan Sobel and screw Eric Payton. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for this video. Thanks for watching.